N8n and Claude Code can actually talk to each other, not just sit side by side, actually exchanging real data. Here's proof. My error handling workflow hit a real critical failure. 40 minutes later, a Telegram message told me exactly what broke, why, and had a fix ready for me to check. I didn't write that fix. I reviewed it and approved it before anything touched my live workflow. That's the whole video. Let's claw back your time. AI does the heavy lifting. I make sure it's real. Quick context. I run a workflow that watches every other workflow. I call it the universal error handler. When something breaks, it classifies the failure, transient, rate limit, or critical, and routes it accordingly. That solves, do I even know something broke? It never solved, why did it break, and what do I do about it? A critical alert just told me the patient flatlined. It never gave me a diagnosis. On the critical branch, instead of just an alert email, the workflow now makes an MCP call to a running Claude Code session. MCP, Model Context Protocol, is basically a connector that lets one tool hand another a specific, well-defined job instead of that second tool guessing from a vague description. Here, the job it hands over is, go find out what actually broke. Here's the trigger in action. A live workflow fails, the error handler catches it, classifies it critical, and this time, instead of stopping at critical email sent, it fires the MCP call. That's the handoff. From here, it's Claude Code's turn. This is the real answer to, do they talk to each other? Claude Code doesn't get a paragraph describing the problem. It connects to n8n's own MCP server, n8n exposing itself as something Claude Code can query directly, and pulls two things on its own. The failed run's real error data, n8n calls a single run an execution, and the exact node, JSON, the saved configuration of the specific step that broke. That's two systems actually reaching into each other, not me copying an error message into a chat window. In the run I recorded, here's what it found. An upstream API had renamed a field, so the mapping step was reading something that no longer existed. Claude Code traced that straight from the node JSON, and it didn't propose rebuilding anything. It drafted one scoped patch, fix this one mapping, that's it. Here's the actual message that landed in my Telegram. What broke? Why it broke? And the proposed fix, laid out as a specific change I could read in about 10 seconds, not a wall of code. And here's the part that matters more than any of the tech. Nothing applied itself. That patch sat there until I opened it, read it, and approved it myself. If I'd said no, or just not answered, it stays untouched. This isn't self-healing. It's a very fast, very specific first draft that I still have to sign off on. Obvious question, so let's answer it. Why not use n8n's own AI agent node, the built-in step that lets a workflow call an AI model without leaving n8ni, instead of bringing in Claude Code over MCP? Fair, and for plenty of simple decisions, that's the right call, but it only works with what n8n hands it. Claude Code over MCP pulls the raw source, the actual node configuration, and drafts a specific edit to it. That's a different capability, not a fancier alert. I won't tell you MCP is forever. People are already debating what replaces it. I'll just tell you, today, this is the most useful version of that connection I've personally gotten working. So, critical failure classified automatically, handed to Claude Code over MCP, which pulled the real execution data and node JSON itself, diagnosed a renamed field, drafted one scoped patch, sent it to me on Telegram, and waited. I approved it. That's the loop, start to finish. If you want the actual workflow file behind this handoff, that's coming. For now, subscribe if you want to see it built out. This is the part of the channel I actually enjoy. Automations you can trust, because a human still checked them. That's hours back in your week, human checked, no fluff. See you next time.